Now let's talk about another battle. This one was fought in Indian courts. It lasted a decade and the result was this. India's Supreme Court struck down a colonial-era law. It decriminalized same-sex relationships. This was 5 years ago. Today, dozens of activists and members of the queer community gathered outside the same court. They were fighting for the right to same-sex marriage, to get access to the same privileges that are extended to heterosexual couples. But they were disappointed. The top court declined to legally recognize same-sex unions. It passed the buck to the government. It said this is an issue that should be decided by the Indian Parliament. But when will that happen, if it happens at all? When will India take the final call? Here's a report.
Former colonial rulers, the British, devastated India. They impoverished India and benefited from it. Now the British may be gone, but India continues to battle its colonial legacy. The same applied to a law the British passed in 1860. It criminalized same-sex intercourse. Marriage rights were limited to heterosexual couples. Now, India has been shedding its colonial baggage. Streets and cities have been renamed. A new parliament building has been constructed. And 5 years ago, the Supreme Court granted rights to the queer community. In 2018, after a decade-long battle, the law made by the British was finally scrapped, with India's apex court decriminalizing same-sex intercourse. But for the community, it wasn't enough. Indian law still limits marriage to heterosexual couples, meaning millions of LGBTQIA+ couples in India cannot access the legal benefits attached to matrimony. This includes adoption, insurance, and inheritance. So last year, more than a dozen petitions were filed in the top court, and today the Supreme Court finally spoke. It declined to legally recognize same-sex marriages, calling it an issue to be decided by the Parliament. In other words, passing the buck to the government. And they have good reason to do this. Marriage is not a fundamental right. It's an evolving institution. So the Parliament brings in laws to reflect the changes, not the court. The role of a court lies in upholding the law.
Some people try to spoil the atmosphere of Indian system, but I am happy that Supreme Court of India has accepted the version of the Government of India in which it was argued that the court has no power to give this right of same-sex marriage. It is the only right of the Indian Parliament. Today, it has been accepted by Honorable Supreme Court.
While for some, the verdict is disappointing,
we have been fighting for long and will keep doing so. There has been nothing substantial regarding adoption also. What the CJI said regarding adoption was very good, but it's disappointing that other justices didn't agree. This is a democracy, but we are denying basic rights to our own citizens.
others have welcomed it.
Although while we were aiming to get amendment in the Special Marriage Act, that has not happened, but the good thing is that our partnership, a gay or a lesbian partnership, same-sex partnership, is now a recognized civil union.
Especially as the ruling emphasized the rights of the LGBTQIA+ community, demanding the formation of a high-powered committee that would evaluate laws that indirectly discriminate against queer people, laws that deny them social welfare entitlements or the benefits that usually come with being legally married. According to a survey held in India, 53% of people believe that homosexuality should be accepted. That's a 38% increase from 2014. So Indian society has become more accepting of the LGBTQIA+ community. It celebrates gay prides in cities across the country. But the government has opposed calls to legalize same-sex unions. They say it's incompatible with the Indian family unit concept of a husband, a wife, and children. The issue remains highly divisive in India, so the government must walk a tightrope. Many say the ambiguity makes matters worse. With the Supreme Court not taking a decision on the matter, the ball is now in the government's court.